One of the jurors from the explosive Johnny Depp vs. Amber Heard trial broke their silence on Thursday to slam Heard's claims the jury was mesmerized by her famous sex and that the verdict was unfair, insisting that they followed the evidence and were uncomfortable with her emotional outbursts. The male juror spoke anonymously to Good Morning America to say that he and the other jurors were uncomfortable with how Heard stared at them throughout the trial, and that they struggled to believe her when she went from crying to being ice cold. He denied her claim that it was a trial by social media, revealing that 3 of the jurors do not have Facebook or Twitter. The crying, the facial expressions, the staring at the jury, all of us were very uncomfortable, the man, one of 5 on the jury, said. Heard has repeatedly suggested that Depp only won the trial because he is more famous and likable than she is. However, the juror on Thursday said they reached their verdict based on the evidence on the case. A lot of her story didn't add up. The majority of the jury felt that she was the aggressor. The crying, the facial expressions that she had, the staring at the jury. All of us were very uncomfortable. She would answer one question and she would be crying, and 2 seconds later she would turn ice cold. Some of us used the expression crocodile tears, he said. We followed the evidence, he said. He added that he personally did not believe Depp ever hit Heard. One of the turning points for the jury, he said, was Heard's admission that she had not donated her $7 million divorce settlement to charity, as she claimed she had publicly. He called it a fiasco and added that while Depp's legal team were sharp, Heard's had sharp elbows and came off as abrasive. She goes on a talk show in the UK. The video shows her sitting there telling the host she gave all that money away. The juror said they struggled to believe Heard, who went from crying to being ice cold in a matter of seconds. They added that they didn't like how she stared at them. +11, View Gallery. The juror said they struggled to believe Heard, who went from crying to being ice cold in a matter of seconds. They added that they didn't like how she stared at them. And the terms she used in the video clip were "I gave it away," "I donated it," "it's gone." But the fact is she didn't give much of it away at all, the juror said. Heard said on the stand that she used the terms pledged and donated interchangeably. The juror added that he thinks both parties mistreated one another. A lot of the jury felt what he was saying, at the end of the day, was more believable. He just seemed a little more real in terms of how he was responding to questions. His emotional state was very stable throughout, the juror said. What I think is truthful is that they were abusive towards each other. I don't think that makes either of them right or wrong. But to rise to the level of which he was claiming, there wasn't enough evidence that really supported what he was saying. He added that social media did not play a part in the verdict, as Heard has claimed, and that he doesn't even use it. We followed the evidence. Myself and at least 2 other jurors don't use Twitter or Facebook. Others who had it made a point not to talk about it. The jury sided with Depp, ruling that Heard did defame him with her 2018 op-ed in the Washington Post in which she described herself as the victim of domestic abuse and violence. She was ordered to pay Depp $8 million in damages after deductions, but now says she can't afford it. Despite losing the trial, Heard continues to insist that she is telling the truth and always has been. Earlier this week, she appeared on Today to insist that Depp did beat her, but she said she still loves him. To my dying day, I will stand by every word of my testimony, she told Savannah Guthrie, adding that she absolutely still loved the actor. I love him. I love him with all my heart, and I tried the best I could to make a deeply broken relationship work. And I couldn't. I have no bad feelings or ill will towards him at all. I know that might be hard to understand, or it might be really easy to understand if you've ever loved anyone. Heard maintains that it was a trial by social media and that her ex-husband won because he is more popular than her. When grilled by Guthrie about audio clips that were played during the 6-week trial in which the actress could be heard admitting to being physically abusive towards Depp, Heard insisted that she only ever responded to physical violence, but that she never instigated it. I never had to instigate it. I responded to it, she claimed. When you're living in violence and it becomes normal, as I testified to, you have to adapt. Heard added that, while she has so much regret over the horrible and ugly things she did and said to Depp, she was only acting as a person in extreme emotional, psychological, and physical distress who felt that their life was at risk. Fans were furious with Heard's televised claims and said she sunk to a new low by continuing to lie about Depp.